Hi everyone, it's Jen, and I just wanted to wish everybody a happy New Year's. I hope you all had a good holiday season. And, um, this time of year I feel like it was when everybody's kind of like making goals for themselves, looking back at the previous year and thinking ahead as to like what types of progress or achievements they would like to strive for in 2024, I guess, going forward. Um, and I guess I just wanted to talk a little bit more again about sustainability and enjoying the process. I think our culture is always emphasizing the idea of like reaching the finish line and this idea of like no pain, no gain. Um, that it's true in life. Rarely are the things that are worth doing like easy. I feel like there is like a sense of accomplishment that is to be had from like dedication and struggle. But that doesn't mean that like whatever goals you want to set for yourself for this upcoming year should be about suffering. Um, it really should be kind of about the blood, sweat, and tears that feels good. Um, Let me try to simplify this concept. Like, my son does not like eating his vegetables for the most part, like most kids, right? And so I can tell him, like, you have to eat your vegetables because they're good for you. And I do encourage him, to eat his vegetables and explain to him, like, why it's important to eat vegetables. But I also try to present the vegetables in a way that are more palatable. Um, and it's been years in the it's been years in the making, like where I kind of like tell him like please have at least like X number of bites of your vegetables, and like it's usually a small amount that I know that he can tolerate. Um, and that's sort of like trying to condition his palate a little bit. And then recently I made this kind of like rice dish where it was very savory. It was like a slow cooked rice that the vegetables and everything had been like slow cooked in this broth and stuff. And he actually really enjoyed the carrots in that because he said it kind of like blended in with the rice. So I guess that's where I want to encourage people to try to strive for with their goal making, instead of thinking so hard about like what you want to look back in the next year and say, I achieved this, I achieved that. To say, like, I really enjoyed that year. I enjoyed whatever it was I was working on or working towards. Work on knowing yourself and your process to make this journey an enjoyable one. Yes, there's going to be times where in order to achieve your goal, you're going to have to kind of hold your nose and take a couple bites of those vegetables. Sometimes we just need to try things that make us uncomfortable to get out of our comfort zone. But pushing yourself to do something that you don't enjoy or that feels like work, or that feels like, just eating your vegetables when they're not tasty and they're not enjoyable, you only have a finite amount of that resource. And then if you keep on like pushing yourself in a way that's like punishing, you are going to burn out. You are going to get sick of your vegetables and just be like, okay, I'm done with these stupid vegetables. I'm just going to eat like junk food. And then that junk food is probably going to make you feel like terrible. So try to work towards developing a process that's sustainable and that you actually enjoy, so that you can spend the majority of your conscious existence actually enjoying what you're producing, instead of just kind of cracking the whip for the sake of having your finished product at the end. This is a lesson that I have had to learn more recently. It's not like I've been doing this my whole life. I'm still working on trying to refine my processes and know my limits, and kind of like counteract a lot of that like kind of guilt that I've been have had instilled in me over the years for like not reaching a certain level of productivity, especially when like so much of like my early professional art career was like a grind set mindset where, you know, that was like kind of like my most valuable I guess attribute in going into the professional world was that like, oh well, I can produce, I can meet deadlines, I can you know, create just a mountain load of work, whether I like it or not. I can be disciplined and I can churn out these pages, and even if my back hurts or my hand hurts or my eyes hurt or I'm bored to death with what I'm doing, you know, I'll just crank up some music and I'll just power through it. And it doesn't matter if I neglect human contact, neglect my health, neglect my mental health, neglect my social health, like all these things, like as long as I can power through and meet my deadline. And yeah, I could meet my deadline, but like where did it get me in the end? Like depressed and miserable. And I've spoken about this before in some of my other videos. It was a very fleeting sense of accomplishment that, you know, once you finish making something, and I guess you can kind of like shout from the hilltops, you know, look at this, look what I did. You might get some affirmation, you might get some feedback, but that is also going to be fleeting because everybody's got their own lives and their own goals and their own stories. And, you know, no matter how hard you work to try to connect with others or to try to, you know, produce whatever it is you're producing, people are going to move on with their lives and with their interests and with all the other stories out there that there are to consume. It's like preparing, you know, a fancy feast. You could spend weeks preparing, decorating the table, and, you know, days making everything from scratch and making it perfectly delicious, and breaking your back over all this labor to try to make your holiday celebration meal absolutely perfect. And then people are just gonna come and they're just gonna eat it, and it's gonna be over in like, you know, maybe an hour at the most, and the kids are gonna get like fidgety and they're gonna be like, can I go, can I get on the table? And you know, I remember like seeing my mother and my grandmother, and you know, it was sort of heartbreaking for them because they had put so much effort into like making this meal that people were just kind of like, you know, gobble up and like leave the table. Maybe you'd be lucky if like somebody picked up a dish and brought it to the sink on their way out, you know. So I sort of see like creation as kind of being that. And some people will say, well, the answer is to like treat people to be appreciative of the effort that you put in. But really, I feel like life is more about like, do I want to put in the effort for me? Does it make me feel good? Do I enjoy cooking and decorating? Then that should be what I'm doing it for. And if I don't enjoy that process, then maybe that's not for me. And so that's how I've lived my life. Like, my life is not about making fancy celebratory meals, like, because I don't enjoy that process, and I'd rather focus on something else. So I guess what I want to say, and I don't mean to come across like preachy or anything. I just really want people to encourage people not to focus so hard on like the finish line. Focus on your breathing, focus on your technique, focus on the passing scenery, you know, everything that is the experience of like taking that journey towards the finish line. And I know it's easier said than done, because there's just a lot of things that we're taught and that we're conditioned to, like believe and how to live, that society kind of like rewards and kind of like keeps on to like kind of teach us. But I really believe that life is too short to spend, I guess, kind of beating yourself up. And it makes me sad when people talk about, like, oh, this is another year, like they're disappointed when looking back at their previous year. That was a whole year of your life. I don't want you to wake up a year from now and feel like you didn't make your goals and that you gotta, pick yourself up and try again and set yourself up for failure. And, I guess I don't want you to be disappointed with yourself. I want you to enjoy your life. And if you accomplish something in the process, I guess, that can be recognized by other people, that's great. And honestly, I think people who are living their best life, it's kind of like a natural byproduct. At least that's what I've found. I've found that I've been more productive, or I've had more to show for myself once I've just kind of embraced like the whole like taking the journey, because I don't get burnt out. And I actually am like a more pleasant person to be around in general. I have more to offer people, once I've set my limits and I've known what's made me happy, and I've been kind of going through life, like pretty much enjoying my every day to day. I have more to offer people. Anyways, I know that it's, again, easier said than done, and that it probably sounds like a bunch of like, woohoo, like pie in the sky idealism or something. But you really can let go, and you really can just love yourself and do the things that make you happy that are also good for you. Just because something's enjoyable doesn't mean that it has to be like a guilty pleasure. You can actually find ways to make doing things that are good for you enjoyable. And I guess that's what I would encourage everybody to work towards, is to make yourself a healthy, sustainable life. Doing whatever it is that makes you happy and makes you feel fulfilled. And that's a very hard thing for people to find. But I guarantee if you focus on it, then everything in life just becomes easier and better as a byproduct. At least that's what I've found. And looking back on this past year, it was a fantastic year. Yeah, there was some ups and downs, and I had some hard days. But overall, it was great because I met some people and made some new friendships and made some new connections with people. And that was really wonderful. And looking back, I achieved a lot of like my goals with my projects and stuff, but I really enjoyed what I was doing, and I'm really happy with like where I'm taking my art and my stories these days. So it's not perfect. None of it is. But I hope that people can feel, they can have a sense of like my joy and passion in my work. And I hope that it can bring them some happiness too. Alright, I guess that's all I've really got to say. Please enjoy the process and understand what I mean when I say that. It's not just a little one-off liner that I'm throwing at the end of my videos. I really want you to enjoy the process.